Good evening. Tonight, a troubled SPAC wants to buy iRocket, but there may be a problem. They don't have a lot of money left. Surging demand and aging infrastructure may affect how the Pentagon manages space launches. And yes, really, this does affect all of us. Celestial is accelerating their space solar array production with a $12 million SBIR grant through SpaceWorks contract. South Korea wants to get into the lunar sweepstakes like everybody else. They just showed their intention to build a moon base within 20 years. Purdue University announces a Neil Armstrong Space Prize, and this is long overdue because Purdue is Neil's alma mater. The new chief of Trump's Golden Dome initiative has only been on the job 4 days, but he's been given 60 days to come up with a working architecture, and he says he can do it. But the same day, a separate article came out on another channel stating that the Golden Dome is looking for alternatives to SpaceX. So I don't know. I think there might be a disconnect here somewhere. All that and maybe a whole lot more with your questions and comments, and should be an interesting night. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. Okay, as you know, this program is sponsored by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And what do we do? You know the litany by now. We champion and strengthen emerging space startups, space scalable SMBs, and space adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy across the funding spectrum. Our programs fortify business plans and investor readiness for founding teams in varying levels of development. A lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. So if you go to the QR code at the upper left of the screen, it will take you to our donation portal. And hopefully we're going to get a new link for our Spotify fans. It's hard. A lot of Spotify fans only listen to this thing on audio. We're going to find a way to reach out to you, though. Trust me. Keep helping us out. A little in the tip jar each month makes a big difference. Thanks in advance. Now, Michael Lane will not be joining us this evening as he is taking care of his mom, who suffered a medical event over this last weekend requiring surgery. She's now home. She's healing. She's healing up, and Michael's given her chicken soup, and we sent our best to her with hopes for a speedy recovery. In some other news, we're supposed to have a guest tonight, Eva Blaisdell, otherwise known as Lady Rocket. She couldn't make it at the last second, so here we are. So here's what we're going to do tonight. This is going to be fun because our other producer, whom if you were at the ISDC, you would have met him. Our producer, Sean Key, is going to be with us. He's usually the man behind the curtain. We're going to bring him out for a little bit to help do the news and bounce off each other a little bit, as he's a good guy and he really knows his stuff. I've seen a lot of his writings lately, and man, that's going to be he's doing really well. So Sean, come on out. Hey,
thanks, Tom.
Hey, looking good, man. So we're going to be doing the news, and then after that, we're going to have a conversation because since we don't have a guest tonight, what I thought we'd do, so all you guys that show up here live, and I love you, and thanks for coming. Go ahead, ask a question, ask us anything. We make comments on the news articles that we talk to, and we'll engage in a conversation in real time right here. Feel free to join us. You're the guest tonight. It's really fun.
Exactly.
Now, but before we launch into the actual news items, we have one thing that I found the other day. I hope John can bring it up. It's just absolutely hysterical. there's this about a week and a half ago, we did a news item. There it is, about a company called Auriga, and they were doing some things with horizontal launch on a rail of some kind, right? And they'd gotten a bunch of money, and they're bragging about it online. And then 2 days ago, just 2 days ago, I found this thing on my LinkedIn feed from a company called Orbital Bridge. If you could read that, it says Auriga Space has taken our patented concept without understanding it and raised money from the unsophisticated. We will be doing a full takedown of Auriga Space very soon. Oops.
I love that unsophisticated. I just keep thinking of Harry Potter. Harry Potter is the muggles. That's what they want to say. They're these muggles out here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a follow-up to this, so I don't know if there's some online war going on right now, or if Auriga's just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's going to be some shots fired. We got definitely keep track of that and see what's going on with that.
Yep.
That is hilarious, actually. All right, there we go.
Morty just asked, "What about iSpace? What's their valuation? Didn't they fail a bunch of launches?" Yes, they did fail a bunch of launches, but it's that wasn't the topic of this particular news item. But I'm not sure what their valuation is. I'd have to go look that up and take time out of my life to do that. And maybe if everyone's really interested in that, I'll look that up. I mean, we'll get a list of these things going. They failed. I think 2 landings. That's a Japanese company. They failed 2 landings, but I think they get some of their funding from the Japanese government as well as some other private sources. So, I mean, it's like anything else. It's like SpaceX. They fail, they build, they test. They fail, they build, they test. So, some companies have the budget to do this, others do not.
Well, I think they also the risk of that is factored into their design, the structure as well. Like companies go out, you expect to fail if you're developing technology,
right?
Because you're going to learn from it, and you build that into your cost structure. I would be surprised if they didn't. And plus, the Japanese, you're probably going to back up that risk gap that's there.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with a lot of companies, not just space launch companies. I mean, Avialto does that for our high altitude airship.
A lot of emerging technologies, that's what they have to have, is that buffer in there. And government's a great buffer for risks that people can't evaluate, or which I'm developing a technique that you might be able to roughly evaluate the technology, or you can let the government take on that unknown and then just drive ahead.
Yeah. So here's something. Jason's with us today. Jason Sprecher says, "Make a case for space piracy." I'm not really sure what the economic effective range of 93,000 miles does, because I kind of did that a while back when we did our property rights on the moon thing.
Come and get it.
Yeah, it was like come and get it. They were the thing I said was, what if a big conglomerate has a huge area that they're claiming, but somebody finds something that's actually valuable that no one's looking for on the edges of that property, and they go and just dig it all out of there. It could be rare earth metals, it could be some other wild thing, and they dig it all out of there really quick. And by the time anybody even figures out what's going on over there, they're gone. And so, there's a case for space piracy right there. It's got to be, but it's, fortune favors the bold in that, in that area. And
in policy.
Yeah.
Morty, we'll answer that later in the show.
Well, that's a good question, though. Is it really piracy if nobody owns it?
Yeah.
You own what you can extract.
Or what you can keep and protect.
Yeah. Yep. What you can defend.
Yeah.
I guess that was the point I was making on that example. Yeah, you're right. It is the Wild West. The Wild West, however, wasn't so wild.
Yeah.
Everybody says, "Oh, it was all wild. It was anarchy." No, no, no,
No,
no.
no, no. There's still law and order. It's just
There was
still
still law and order. In fact, most of the major criminals, there were so few, everybody knew them by name.
I also took some writing of journalists on the East to get their name out. Other than that, they would just be in the annals of history books or just ledgers somewhere.
And those guys, yeah, they were. I mean, they were criminals. They did bad things and they killed people and broke stuff. But all in all, they were as much a brand as they were a criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
Back then.
Exactly.
So,
that brand sold paperbacks.
Well, Michael Lane says he's in the car listening, and she smiled at the intro. Hi, Mom. I'm glad to know you're doing well, and your son is taking care of you. That's great. Heal well. And,
get better.
Yeah, get better.
Yeah.
So we need Michael soon, please.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
But okay, let's move it on. There's a SPAC. This SPAC, I don't know what they're smoking. I don't know what they're smoking. There's a SPAC. They want to buy iRocket for $400 million, and they've got about a year to do it, a little less than a year to do it. But they've already returned most of their cash. So what are they going to buy it with?
Their good looks and charm. I don't know.
Oh God!
Because when I read into this, I'm like, well, SPAC's already been in trouble for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
This one, from reading the articles, down to 1.6 million left because they had to give the rest of it back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're shooting for iRocket for an estimated 400 million, you're going to spend all that 1.6 trying to raise 400 million, and I think you're going to fall short unless you're hoping to get it for 2/3 of that.
Well, it also says here, iRocket itself was kind of a surprising target at any price for a public deal because they'd only raised a few million venture funding, according to PitchBook.
Yeah.
And this is an industry, as you know, is extremely capital intensive. And so they've been around since 2018. So in 7 years, they have yet to conduct a single flight test of their Shockwave launch vehicle. And it's been overtaken by Stoke Space and Firefly that are better capitalized and farther along. And so I don't understand where the love is coming from.
It can't be just. I was thinking about this just now. It can't be just for patents alone because that's not going to. It's not going to reach the 400 million valuation. I just don't get it. This is the one that just makes you scratch your head. Maybe somebody from that team would mind coming on and explaining and talking to us about how
that would be interesting. Yeah.
We love to have you.
Ajay Kutari, one of our recent guests, is here with us tonight. He said, "Do you know how much drag you would experience and heat based on Reynolds' analogy when you exit at Mach 6? And if you want to exit in near vacuum, how long for 50-kilometer height?" This is so spin launch was plain nonsense. This kind of rail launch is not the way to go. And first stage reusable, 2-stage to orbit with first stage reusable is the going concern right now. And he's perfectly right about that. And so it just, a lot of this stuff makes no sense at all. I don't know what, well, it's one thing about, Auriga doing this thing. And there's another thing by these other guys going, "Hey, we're going to get you." And now very reasonably, Dr. Kathari comes out here and says they're both full of shit.
I'm so glad we're not on live TV.
Why, if you want to entertain yourselves looking at the argument, okay. Meanwhile, we're just going to keep on launching 2-stage to orbit rockets and putting real stuff up there and making money. Okay. Moving on. So, no soup for the troubled SPAC, and no soup for iRocket. I just don't, because there's no valuation there that justifies 400 mil, and they don't have a way to do it unless you're planning on, calling them back all the money that they gave back into the SPAC and doing it that way. I don't know how you would legally do that.
I'm not sure about that. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah. Well, here's something that isn't. You were a military guy, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. The space with the Space Force and the Congress, there's some kind of big crunch going on in the launch facilities because apparently the demand for launch facilities has become a little bit larger than the available supply. And when something like that happens, a long story short, which I don't want to do because I want to have a full hour program tonight. But I don't want to make a long story short. I want to stretch it out a little bit. Well, here's the thing I want to start a conversation on is that there's this thing in the article. Let me find it again, because it says that Space Force and the military may flex their muscle if necessary. Since the cadence of launches has exploded because of the growth of the commercial industry, so the government and other places in the Space Force, they plan to build constellations themselves. The Space Force oversaw a record 144 launches from its ranges, including 93 from Florida and 51 from California. They expect that number to go even higher this year, like Vandenberg at 70 and KSC at 150. And one guy said we used to do 10 launches, and that was a lot, but now there's 70. That's just mind blowing. And most of them are supporting commercial missions and not government ones. So there's going to come a time that you got to be able to say there's a mission that flies, there's a set of priorities, and this is when it has to go, and they can't get completely out of it. Congress recently provided Space Force with $1.3 billion for Space Force of the Future program, but until the upgrades to existing launching facilities or new sites are being built, there's still this high demand for operational support and infrastructure sustainment. And maybe not to accommodate the growing demand, but the government and the Space Force itself may step in and say, "I'm sorry, but we have to launch something classified, and we have to do it right now." And launch sites are not sanctuaries from adversarial threats, so we get to bump you for our launch.
National
That's
security.
basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, national security will do it every time.
Yep.
And that's all you got to say.
And so I don't know how long it's going to take before something like that happens, but that's a real concern if they're not bringing in the money to upgrade facilities or build new ones. And then Are you building horizontal launch facilities or vertical facilities, as we've talked about in the past?
Yeah.
Right now, the market on both commercial and government seems to be mostly vertical.
Yeah.
So all that horizontal build-out space is still not being used. It's just sitting there. I want it to be cheaper to convert one of those facilities to accommodate vertical launch. But a lot of them are built in the interior of the country, so maybe not. I mean, they're built in Oklahoma and places like that.
Yeah. Well,
they don't have a clear trajectory, downrange over a giant body of water for safety purposes.
That's probably one of the problems that they have is finding real estate where they can fly over body of water, close to the body of water, and without worrying about the safety hazards as much. I mean, that's the reason why NASA was selected in Cape Canaveral where they launched their rockets, because it could fly over the body of water without the risk to people on land as much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's one of those risks that they haven't come up with a solution yet, because if they did, we'd have had a lot more launch sites.
Yeah. But I hate to see a thing where all of a sudden there's this huge economic squeeze because all of a sudden, government services, defense, space, they're now bumping commercial launches off the pad, so they can get their stuff going by a certain deadline.
What gets me is I think Space Force should have more real estate themselves.
Yep.
And have their own facilities themselves, because that way they can control the environment, especially when you're dealing with top secret equipment.
And ultimately, they probably will, but this article suggests that they don't yet.
Yeah.
They didn't have much of a budget, and all of a sudden now they've gotten a lot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, though, you take into account government bureaucracy. I don't care who's in office. There's going to be a government bureaucracy. And I don't care if it's the military or if it's something else. There's going to be a bureaucracy there that you're going to have to deal with. The government's like a battleship. It takes you a little while to get things done.
Yep, it does. Yeah, it's just or a super tanker. It takes a long time for a super tanker to do a U-turn.
Oh yeah.
So you can do it, but it takes a lot of time and patience.
Oh yeah.
So
let's move on to the next one if you want to, Tom.
Yeah, well, I've also got some stuff here. I mean, actually, I'm also waiting on Dr. Cathari. He says he wants to find something he wants to add to the conversation, and we can do this a little later, about China's thorium energy initiatives. That's always a great topic for me. I love those. Meanwhile, Jason is asking physics questions.
Like we're qualified for that.
What if you re-enter Earth at lunar orbit speed around 1,500 miles per hour under 3/4 gravity without re-entry shielding? Well, you still burn up, I guess. I don't know. Because even the F-15s had some re-entry shielding of some kind.
Yeah.
And they weren't going up that high, and they weren't going that fast, but they still needed it to, because it got really hot in there when they were, coming back. The ones that got above the Kármán, the flights that got above the Kármán line and didn't really have any oxygen, any air to bite into, and they had to use their reaction thrusters to keep trim. Yeah, those things got a little warm inside coming back down. So something coming back from the moon, and and you're not coming in at 1,500 miles an hour. It's more like, I don't know if you're coming back from the moon. That's not clear to me what they're trying to do there, but okay. All right.
But everyone keep on asking the questions. We really do appreciate it. Really...
Just pound us. Let's have some fun here. Okay. Now, well, here's something. Here's one about, we always like to talk about space and money. And so here's one. Celestial just did a $12 million SBIR grant deal with SpaceWorks to accelerate their space solar array production. So that's a big deal for them. And I always love space solar stuff, because the more they make, the better it gets. I'm a keen fan of that myself, because obviously Ave Alto is using thin film solar for top of our airships, and the more people that build this stuff, the better and cheaper it's going to get, and that just helps us. So, and right now they have a lightweight radiation hardened solar cell, and they want to optimize it for more rapid production, which means it'll be cheaper in the end. And they're developing new electrical interconnects, and supposedly they have a fast-paced prototype demonstration soon. They want to fabricate 1 kilowatt of solar cells and modules over a 2-week sprint, and assemble and integrate a fully functional solar wing in another 2 weeks, proving that solar arrays can be manufactured within 1 month. And so this is basically, since they're doing it with SpaceWorks, they're basically it's part of the Air Force aligning with their commitment to advancing U.S. national defense capabilities. So that's what this is really all about. And it was from the Department of the Air Force launched the open topic SBIR STTR program in 2018 to broaden technological solutions that it funds. And it's critical research and development benefiting for the Space Force. But whoever's developing solar cells, as long as we all get to profit from them over time, this would be a great idea.
Yeah. AJ finally posted an article. Tom, let me just pull it up here. Give me just a second, and I'll have it on the screen.
Okay. All right. There it is.
It's coming. The hill.
Okay.
All right,
you're gonna put it on the screen? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the screen. And you can put
there
it
we
in.
go. There we go. Okay. And I'm gonna put it on mine as well, just for fun, in the background, so I can see what the heck he's talking about. And yeah, I knew China was kicking our butt in the thorium reactor race at this point. The problem we have, and it's always a political problem. It's always a freaking political problem. Sure, we should be thorium reactors are like fourth generation nuclear. They're cheaper to build, and they're cheaper to deploy, and they're much cheaper to operate. And the waste problem is not nearly as bad or as challenging as the waste problem with conventional, uranium plutonium reactors. The only problem is, and the reason no one's talking about, now we don't build these things, is because you can't make a nuclear bomb from a thorium reactor. It's really that simple. Nuclear material to make a nuclear bomb has to come from a uranium or a plutonium based reactor. And so no one has cared. And how far do we have to fall behind in our energy needs before someone will do the right thing? This has been the problem I've always had with this. It's like, yeah, America does the right thing, but only if it's the last thing they'll ever do. Some days, not everything, but I get pissed. Anyway, I'm reading this thing over here about they're still going back to the dropping it into the atmosphere at X15, at X speed with no shielding. Well, my first thought about that is it's going to burn up. It should be the other way around. It's going to burn up. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to burn up. I'm not going to be sitting in there without heat shielding. I don't care how slow you think it's going when it's coming into the atmosphere. Any reasonable kind of speed is going to cause unnatural heat to collect around the device. And if you're in it, you stand a chance of cooking.
Yeah, rotisserie duck coming home.
Yeah. As sadly the crew of Columbia found out in 2003. Yeah. So, South Korea wants to be in the game. I think this is interesting because it's just kind of out of the blue. To me, this is out of the building. They want to build a moon base within 20 years, South Korea. Now, this is as surprising to me as what car company was it in Japan? Honda, I think, launching a rocket.
Yeah,
and bringing it back in.
It came from left field,
right? And here we are. What could that be about? Why would they all of a sudden want a presence on the moon when they never, really mentioned anything about it before?
Symbolism.
Yeah. Well, symbolism's expensive. You really want to do something that justifies the investment these days.
Morty, only if China gives it to them, to answer your question.
Oh, well, North Korea has launch capabilities, but just for launching their weapons
Yeah, for the weapons, I'm
when they work.
when the,
Yeah,
exactly when they were, and they're hand-me-downs.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's because the plot lines, the season 3 plot lines for All Mankind, yeah, involve North Korea sending the first rocket, the first ship to Mars. But in the real world, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
I don't know. All these people is, they're making plans for the moon. We're going to have to get a bigger moon.
Well, where are we going to find that?
I don't know. Make it, build it, pray for it.
Well, there is some folks saying that they're seeing some tantalizing evidence, mostly by effects, gravitational effects, orbital mechanical effects, that there might actually be a real ninth planet out there,
Yeah.
somewhere out in the Kuiper Belt, way out there at the end of it.
Well, that will take more than a week from Thursday to get there, so we got time.
Yeah, it's going to take more than a week from Thursday to actually nail it down, where it is and how big it is. But they're just going from the gravitational effects on other bodies that they can track way out there, and I guess the computer models are going crazy on this. And the guy was a complete skeptic was going, "Holy shit, this is real!" And and so now there's a whole bunch of people working on this thing, trying to find out specifically where this thing is and get an observation of it.
Right.
And the computer models are trying to point them in the right direction. But it's a bullet shooting another bullet,
Blindfolded.
house, riding a horse backwards is what you're doing.
And being told what to do, and not necessarily being able to do it.
Yeah, exactly right. But the thing is, what they're saying that if the thing is what they think it is, it's kind of an Earth-like rocky planet, but it's about 10 times the size and mass of Earth. That would be kind of interesting to find. Yeah.
That'd be the next tourist vacation spot, though.
Yeah. It's got to be pretty darn dark out there, though. It's pretty far out. It's like
bring your own flashlight.
10 times. It's got to be 10,
BYF.
20 times beyond, Neptune's orbit. So the sun would just look like another star from out there.
Yeah, but by the time we get to where we can go out there, we'll probably all be machines by then.
Yeah. Integrated with them in some way, maybe. Yeah. So hopefully that'll be a while longer. I don't want to really need to see that. Yep. That's true. Somebody says, Morty says, yeah, if they find it, they might just send, they might just send people with no human rights or thoughts, but or they could just send robots with AIs in it. And every once in a while, a human on Earth will just kind of put on some goggles and check in to say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Well, we're still going out there. It's going to take 20 more years. Okay, I'll check in next spring. See ya.
I just had a terrible thought. Somebody's be at a computer desk. What's that noise? You've been out there for how long? Who are you? Who are you? Traveling where? Carl, come over here. You gotta hear this. Oh man, I just love the way my mind works sometimes.
No, I know. I get it. I like the way you think, man. Yeah.
What about this one here with Purdue University? Oh, that's a good one. That's actually a nice one. It creates the Neil Armstrong Space Prize.
I know it. I'm surprised he didn't do this a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Let me pull it up here. Give me just a second.
Yeah.
Here we go. And let me get the ads off of it. Darn ads.
They want it to be a prestigious award and become a premier global honor in space advancement and stand alongside other prestigious honors in science like the Nobel Prize. Well, I hope it's better than that. So
Probably
they
should have
have an
started
award.
this.
Yeah. I was looking to see a number.
Which number were you looking for?
Well, usually a prize has a number associated with it. Like the Nobel Prize, it has a number associated with it. You get to receive that number and put it in your bank account.
I don't show the number.
Nope.
No, we don't show the number. But there are 3 categories. One for innovation for space technologies that benefit humanity. Number 2 is discovery for breakthroughs that expand our understanding of the universe. Number 3, human achievement for pioneering accomplishments in space that inspire progress.
Well, that last one is a little vague, but okay.
Yeah, that's the thank you for participating prize.
Yeah, that's the participation trophy. Oh God. Yeah, the other 2, they built something. They built something or they discovered something. But this, Katy Perry got the Human Achievement Award for.
Okay, you don't start a riot.
Okay.
Right? As producer here, I got to cut you off there. Stop that.
Okay. But I did see a funny thing. There was some kind of TikTok video of her, and she was at a recent concert. I think it was in San Francisco, and she came in on this mechanical giant eagle or some other kind of bird of prey, and the wings are flapping up and down. It's on the single lanyard, just rolling down this thing, and something broke. And she's sitting on this thing, and something broke, and the thing just dropped about 6 or 8 feet, went boom, and it kind of wobbled, and she retained her balance and kept on doing it and making the entrance. And somebody posted that somewhere. Just, man, it's a good thing she's an astronaut.
She needed to go to airborne school and learn how to tuck, drop, and roll.
Yeah. See, I can't help myself. I'm like you. I can't help myself. Every once in a while, something comes in. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, Michael was here to be getting on both of us.
I have to share it. Oh my God.
Let's see here. Let's go on to the next one. The Golden Dome architecture will be ready in 60 days.
This is like 2 in a row. It's quite quick. It's one or 2 in a row, but it's one topic. The topic is really the Golden Dome architecture. So we have this new guy that just started, and he has an interesting name which I can't really pronounce well. Is it Gutlein?
Sounds
Getlin? How do you pronounce his name? Anyway, he's been on the job as of today. He's been on the job 4 days, and they gave him 60 days to come up with an objective architecture for the Golden Dome missile defense shield. He's convinced that the technology already exists to protect us from incoming missiles from multiple adversaries. So he thinks we can rework some stuff that we already know about and build a few new things. And I can have an architecture idea ready for you in 60 days. I can do this, Mr. President. Right? And all sounds good. Space-based interceptors, the tech exists. We're just going to define the size of the architecture, which decides the size of the organization you have to build. And then you counter the threat that you define by 2028, if we're not already all blown up. So that's what they have to do, and that's how they're defining their success metric. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, let's take it at face value, fine. The very same day on Reuters, they put this out, an exclusive. Trump's Golden Dome looks for alternatives to SpaceX. So someone, Sean, Morty, Jason, the good doctor out there, anybody explain to me why there's not a disconnect here?
You just haven't got the memo yet.
Right. Somebody watched this show, and tomorrow morning, Gerline is going to be picking up his phone and says, "What? They're going to do what?" Well, SpaceX, how the fuck am I going to do this in 60 days? You just fucked me.
Well, it's like with anything the government says, you got to double it. Amount of time, how much it costs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true even in Star Trek. Scotty apparently always used to pad his estimates by a factor of 6. So he'd always look like a miracle worker every time when he came in early.
Hey, Morty, I do respect the folks that did go up in the rocket. I did not like how they were treated in the media, but a low-hanging fruit is a low-hanging fruit. I'm sorry. The joke would have to be said.
Oh, God. Well, everybody has a point of view on this.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I have my own. I don't really show it much. I thought this was in particular is funny because of that particular individual's comment. It wasn't my comment, but I thought it was funny, and so I shared it. I will no doubt do these things again.
Yeah. So
now, no, but Morty's right. I mean, devaluing astronauts aside, did they get new people interested in space? Probably a few. But the real question becomes then: will the new people interested in space follow up in any way? Will they explore that new interest, and where will it take them?
Yeah, but not everybody that comes to the space industry are going to be explorers or technicians, and some, and I argue this quite literally all the time, is that for the industry to expand and grow, you're going to have that janitor that comes in and goes to work and just wants to
absolutely. Absolutely. But a lot of new people that get interested in space, what do? They become space advocates.
Yeah, advocates,
and they can go to space advocacy conferences, and they can go to March Storm every year and help lobby Congress. They can do all sorts of things.
I'm going to go to BlackRock is where I'm going to send me there. I want them to come. That's the money that you want to come. I want people that are interested in making money to be here, not necessarily because they're big fans of space, but they respect the project and see an economic value for it. I mean, that's kind of a sneak peek to my 25 years, Morty. But that has been my raison d'etre since the first Liftport iteration when I worked with Michael, was trying to solve that problem with getting money into the industry. Big money, real,
Yeah. And BlackRock, and between BlackRock and Vanguard, they basically own everything.
Yeah.
Including all the supply chains.
Yeah.
So you know what?
There's a lot of debt, a lot of countries' debt too.
So maybe it's the time to kick back a little bit. Morty's sticking to his guns though. I love it. I think the numbers we have computers do. The arts are a big part of what makes us human. Absolutely right.
Oh, I agree.
But someone has to pay for those arts. And I was thinking about that just today. I was thinking about that. When we finally get a lot of people out there, I mean, 750 people have at least gotten above the Kármán line in their lifetime somehow over the last 60 some odd years. Okay. But in space advocacy, I am always more focused on, when do we get to 75,000? What do we do then? And And despite all the different studies on how you want to run things and how you want the local governance to work, and you got this, this social stuff, the real issue is it's still economics and what are you doing when you're up there. If you got 75,000 people divvied up between the moon and Mars and the asteroid belt and maybe someplace else, the only question is going to be on anyone's mind is not about who you are, where you come from, what you look like, or who you choose to love. It doesn't matter. What only thing that matters is going to be how did you earn your oxygen today? You're going out there to build stuff. You're going out there to build buildings. You're digging holes in the ground. You're mining. You're doing something to create a value where none existed. And you're going to be using the stuff that you retrieve from the solar system to better your life and build even bigger and better things. And it's going to be centuries before you're going to have a whole bunch of patrons of the arts in a Martian city. But when you think back to the Renaissance, all those Renaissance and beyond artists, almost all of them, if they weren't already independently wealthy when they took up their craft, they had wealthy patrons. And that's how we got Da Vinci and Raphael and the Mona Lisa and. Someone was willing to pay them out of their own pocket to make something wonderful. And we got incredible sculptures, and we got works of art, and chapels with whole ceilings of chapels were painted. My God, we did all sorts of wonderful things. And so that may end up happening again. You have to build an economic base that has enough extra play in it that allows for someone to build enough personal or familial wealth that they can be patrons of the arts, and then at which point it makes perfect sense. But in the early days of colonization, you're not going to see any of that. Everybody's going to be covered with dirt, and they're going to be digging out tunnels all day.
But at the same time, with the advent using AI, and if once you figure out the things that are redundant that you do, that's just kind of like a repetitive task, and you can get AI to do it as long as it's an administrative computer task.
Yeah,
you free yourself up. I've watched this in the corporate world. I've watched this going on now around me. The thing is that machines and technology is an extension of human beings, and it does the repetitive stuff that we normally just take for granted and frees us up for other things. But what is the other things? We are novelty problem solvers. And there's kind of a theory of mine is that we use our novelty problem solving to modify our habits that we build over time. And this is similar to what's going on with these machines now. They are capable of doing habits that where you don't really need a lot of cognitive input, need energy.
Yeah.
And you go off and you go be a novelty problem solver. And a novelty problem solver is an entrepreneur. A novelty problem solver is an artist. A novelty problem solver is that person that can see something different than what everybody else sees, a novel way to do something, and it's an improvement. That is very much needed. And I'm not one of these people who said we got too many people on the planet. I don't buy that. I think there's enough people to solve that problem. Because we should have more opportunities to have an Einstein.
Yeah.
And so I don't buy into that business. I think we need to do a better job managing our resources. But that's a different story, and that's a different take here. And don't want to get off too far on a tangent, but we are novelty problem solvers, and that's our forte. And we need to cultivate and create an environment that cultivates that into everybody. Because let the machines out and AI out, you're not going to put that genie back in the box. It's not going to happen.
Sure.
So that's my take on it.
Interesting thing. Marty's comment again. He's followed up. He says, I don't know if you can get a big interior designer to put a bunch of money to design a space station. That might be a great way to develop it. And it occurred to me when I read that, we just saw, 50 kids with space habitat designs a month ago.
Yeah, yeah. I
You know,
think it's,
they come from India, they come from Poland, they come from Hungary, they come from all sorts of places.
and I'm all for that.
And they have a competition every single year at ISDC. This is a big part of their institution, and they have a space habitat design competition, and they do their presentations. And there's some very creative work that gets done by these kids. Some of them are as young as 11, 12, and others are just like maybe 17, 18 on the edge of going to university. Um, and a couple of them, I saw a couple of them. They're just really amazing designs that they came up with, and the engineering was really excellent. But I saw one a few years back. It was actually by a bunch of older Chinese students. They not only did a really excellent design, but they also took some time to explain the economics of it. And that's the first time I ever saw some of these kids go, well, yeah, we want to build this incredible thing, and here it is, but how do we get it to pay for itself so people can thrive and have lives on this habitat? And they were the only group I've ever seen who actually thought that through.
Yeah, that's because
and came up with something actually, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but that was like 6 years ago, I think.
It's psychologically healthy to have something that connects you to your home.
Right.
And so I'm for that. I've always been for that. I think that, as boring as the ships look in an artistic sense, they look great in a technical sense. But I like to see a fern, something growing in there, or a robot chimp or something. I don't know, just something that connects you, makes you seem like you're still part of you still back home.
Well, maybe it's something you can do. Maybe, I mean, you're gonna end up being a prisoner of this AI program called DAL-E, but there's also another one that does the same thing. And all you do is, you put in those proposals and it makes some artwork of different things. There are commands that you put in there, right?
Maybe we can ask our viewers to get their hands on some AI artwork and see what they can come in with and submit it, and we'll have a contest.
Yeah. And but the thing I was thinking of is, if we all end up living in lava tubes deep down with not a lot of natural light coming in, but you put up these giant screens and you have an AI creating artwork on demand, and it changes every day. And it could be external scenes of forests and rivers and oceans and sunsets and stuff like that.
It'll be a cave wall in France that'll have put up there.
Yeah. It'd be something. It's it wouldn't be the greatest thing in the world, but and it wouldn't take much of a patron of the arts to, have that equipment shipped to them. It's something.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have this back from space is coming. Hold on a second here. Once anything comes back from space, it's currently the property of the world.
Well, yes or no, because it belongs. It depends. If you're bringing something back from space, you're bringing it back to a specific country, and usually you're a citizen of that country. And so, if anything, the government of that country may stake a claim to it, so it doesn't technically belong to the world. I mean, 90% of the moon rocks we ever collected are in a vault somewhere. So NASA is using the De Beers model for lunar rocks, and they have been.
Got another question here from Jason.
Okay.
From Morty, excuse me.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are 2 points of view on that. One is, we're all just going to live in lava tubes and habitats under, covered with dirt, for forever. Of course, then you have other people who are out and out hardcore terraformers, and I am in that camp. I know it's going to take a couple of thousand years to turn Mars into a livable, breathable space where you can actually stand out in the afternoon sun and breathe air with oxygen in it and look at a big, huge river flowing down the Valles Marineris. That would be an amazing view. I'd like to have a house right there, to have that view. But people have been talking about terraforming Mars for 60 years, and and a lot of ideas are on the table. Everybody just argues about what it's going to, what do you have to do and how long it's going to take, and the estimates vary widely from a few centuries to 5,000 years. So does anyone have that kind of concentration to do something like that?
There had to be a devastating, important reason why a disaster is coming and there's nothing you can do, but you got time. Right. I think it's going to be a mix of both. Because it's just human nature. You're going to have to take what the environment gives you, but you're going to try to make it as close to something comfortable for you. And part of those elements are parts from home.
And and there's, in his own way, Jason actually added something to this called the humiforming. And we may be tinkering with our own gene pool to better adapt to a more extreme environment, but then we're trying to tame the environment to be more adaptable to humans, and maybe somewhere along the line we meet somewhere in the middle. So it's not a perfect Earth-like environment, but we're custom tailored to live in it just fine. And it wouldn't take so long then.
Yeah. So you want to get to my questions I asked you guys to ask the guests at the end?
Okay.
All right. So, as Michael said, he always asked the 5-year question. I made him start asking the 25-year question. And then let me tell you a story behind the 25-year question.
Sure.
It is the idea that you're not going to be in the picture, whether you're still here, but you're not relevant, or you're just gone because my age, your age, we might not be here.
Right.
But where would you think the industry is, or like to see the industry? All right. So my 5-year picture is we're touching the moon and we have low Earth orbit pretty much started in their first initial phase of being commercial. Could be happening a little bit sooner, but that's a rough picture. After 5 years to the 25, we'll have moon development, moon colonies. I can see that. I can see a good, robust CisLunar system. I can see us reaching out to Mars and the asteroid belt. I see the asteroid belt beating Mars as becoming a system, economic system, just because all they have to do is just bring back stuff for scientists to test. I mean, any company that goes out there and does mining, whether they mine or not, they can still bring samples back for scientists or commercial applications or whatever. But, I see that as a little bit easier rock to hurdle, so to speak, because you can do it robotically. You do it drones. You can, by that time, drones and robotics are going to be so really sophisticated at that level. Putting humans on Mars is the tricky part because we are squishy, and we require a lot of pampering and diapers and everything else to go with us. And so that's the only reason why I say Mars is going to be a little bit trickier to get set up. Even if you can do everything in the kitchen sink at it, you got to get somebody to sign off and say, hey, yeah, you can send people.
Right.
And a government doing that is still a tall order. So I'm not saying it can't be done. I do think there will be at least one touchdown, maybe two. But as far as a colony there yet, I don't see that happen until after that time frame.
Okay. I'm a little more optimistic. I see 5 years about the same as you. I think we're going to see the beginnings of private commercial space stations at long last.
Yep.
A couple of them, 2-3 of them anyway. I mean, Elon just the other day said, well, I could build a small one and put it inside a Starship and launch the whole damn thing at once. Just deploy, and there you are. So we'll either have 2 or 3 or 50, in a very short order.
Yeah, Motel 6s.
If you can find, Motel 6s. We'll leave the light on for you. If you can find people to, buy into them and rent them, and pay for the flight, sure. You could, it could be a lot of them. 25 years, that's the equivalent for me in my thinking, of planting a tree. You're planting a tree knowing that you are not going to live to enjoy the shade from that tree.
Yep.
But future generations will. And you're just content that you planted that tree. And that's what I try to do at the center. And that's what I try to do with Avialto and other things in my life. I'm trying to plant a tree that hopefully in 25 years is going to spring out into something really good. Whether I make it or not, I'd be 96, but I might be a silent movement. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna see people on Mars. We're gonna see. We won't call it a colony. We might call it a settlement. It'll probably start out like Antarctica did, with a more or less a scientific community.
Yeah.
But we won't be. But the humanity will make sure humanity is not hobbled by the the equivalent of an Antarctic treaty. We want to get out and actually develop stuff. So, but there will be a stake in the ground, definitely in 25 years.
Right.
In my view.
Okay. I hope you're right.
Yeah, me too. and that is it. Shame we couldn't see our guest tonight. That's okay. And we just found a guest for Monday. And so Monday's guest will be Camille Muzica, who's a space lawyer who specializes in space manufacturing. So we're getting away from the property right things a little bit and to the just nuts and bolts of building stuff in space and how to do it and bring it back. And hopefully Michael will also be back with us for that, and his mom will be better, and it should all be good. As always, 8 p.m. Eastern, from the news desk at the Center for Space, Commerce, and Finance, for Sean Key, this is Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.